Hi, my name is Kai, and I'm an airline pilot in Toronto, Canada. Come along while I take my little sister to work with me. She came on in, met the crew, and made herself comfortable in the captain's seat.
Our guest on the Trailblazers is Pilot Kai, who is blazing a trail in the sky. Blazing a trail indeed. It's not every day we come across a black female pilot, but Kai has been making a name for herself in the aviation arena and inspiring while she's at it. I was so delighted to connect with her, and guess what? She has Jamaican heritage, as her mom hails from the beautiful parish of St. Anne in Jamaica. It is a pleasure to have you, Kai, on the Trailblazers. I should let my viewers know that, as some of you know, I love TikTok, and I was scrolling on TikTok and came across the cutest little video of Kai's little sister. Kai taking her little sister to work with her, and she is a pilot. And I was like, wow, you'd have to, in fact, I'll put a little snippet of this video if Kai allows me.
Of course.
Hi, my name is Kai, and I'm an airline pilot in Toronto, Canada. Come along while I take my little sister to work with me. First things first, I get to the airport, get to my airplane, and set up for the flight. On this particular day, we flew a couple legs before I grabbed my sister. Now that my safety and operational checks are all done, I'm going to go find my sister in the boarding lounge. My crew was gracious enough to let her board first so she can get a quick tour of the airplane, including the flight deck, before the rest of the passengers came on. As you can tell, she was super excited to come along with us to Windsor.
Oh my gosh. Is that your phone? Oh my god.
She came on in, met the crew, and made herself comfortable in the captain's seat. I then made sure to embarrass her in front of all the passengers before we took off.
And ladies and gentlemen, while we're waiting for our last passenger to board here, I just wanted to embarrass my little sister sitting in row 2. It's her first time flying with me today, so hi Cheyenne, thanks for flying forward.
It was then time for us to depart. My sister got this footage of us taxiing to the runway and taking off out of the island.
And I was like, this is so cute. So I was very much impressed. And then I was even further impressed when I was reading through the comments and saw that Kai mentioned her mom is from St. Anne in Jamaica. But let me not be the one to tell the story. Kai, welcome to the Trailblazers.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So as I mentioned, you're a pilot by profession, but I understand that your journey to get there, actually, you started out in television. Tell me about your earlier years, your earlier career years.
Yes, it was quite the journey. I did start in film and TV. So I did a little bit of television hosting as a personality. I also did a little bit of acting. I did commercial work, theater work, that sort of thing. While I was doing that, my father got really sick. So I took a step back and I helped nurse my ailing father. Unfortunately, he lost his bout with cancer. And at that point, I was a little bit lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Did I want to go back to school and pursue something else? I did go to school for psychology and biology to pursue medicine, but decided that wasn't for me. From there, like I said, I was lost. I didn't know what to do. I had the opportunity to take a flight attending job with a major airline here in Canada. And I started on that journey and absolutely fell in love with the aviation industry, but decided that I wanted to be at the controls. I wanted to start flying. So in 2018, I went back to school for a flight management degree, aviation management. From there, I got my licenses and ratings and became a commercial pilot. I moved up north in the middle of nowhere so I can build time, get my hours. I was flying to the most remote places you can think of, just nothing around, and they can only be reached by air. That's how I built all my time. From there, I landed a job at a airline here in Toronto, and I've been there ever since.
Wow. I mean, that's quite an impressive journey. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the fact that, I mean, by the way, condolences about your dad.
Thank you.
my condolences where your dad is concerned, but at the same time, I'm like, that's a big jump from you're working in media and then
Yeah.
like, okay, let my next adventure be a pilot. Like,
Yeah.
were you always interested in aviation or?
No, not at all. I didn't know what to do. So my father was really supportive in my media journey, and he was there with me every step of the way. But I felt as though he was the only one who had my back like that in that space. And when I lost him, like I said, I just didn't know what I wanted to do after that. It didn't have the same I didn't have the same passion for it anymore. I shared that passion with him, and long story short, like I said, the flight attending job kind of just landed in my lap. I speak two languages, and someone had approached me, 'cause I speak French as well, and asked if I was interested. And I was like, sure, like I'm not, I'll give it a whirl. Like, I don't know, we'll see what this is all about. So like I said, I started as a flight attendant, and I met some really great pilots along the way from Jamaica and the islands as well. And I was like, wow, we can do this. And they're like, yeah, man, like, come on, like, give it a try. So they gave me all the advice. They told me where I should look for flight schools and stuff like that. And I kind of just, I went with it, and I love it. It's been quite the journey for sure.
Definitely. So when you were a flight attendant, like how many years did you do that before you made that transition to attending a flight school?
I was a flight attendant for 2 years before I started flight training.
Oh, wow, wow,
Yeah. And then the training itself took about 2.5 years after that.
wow. I'm still
Yeah.
kind of impressed because I'm like, that's like, okay, fine, you're a flight attendant, you're already getting that experience, but then to consider yourself to be the one now in charge and actually flying that plane, like at any time, did did you have any fear or it was just
Fear, not so much. It was excitement. I wanted a challenge. I wanted something new. And when I first started my lessons, I was like, wow, this really is for me. I love being up here. I love being up here in the sky. I already knew that as a flight attendant, but actually being in control of the aircraft was like amazing, and I just had to continue pursuing it.
I'm so proud of you because I love traveling, but can I tell you, I like I literally will say sometimes I wish there was a way to walk to some
That's
places.
fair. That's
You
fair.
know, because especially when the turbulence hits, oh my gosh,
Hmm.
I would literally be like, I would say every prayer in the world when the turbulence hits. So I'm so proud of you. So yes, so you stated, as I mentioned in the comment section, that your mom is actually from Jamaica. Have you ever been to
Yes, ma'am.
Jamaica?
I have visited, yes, of course.
Okay.
Beautiful. I love it there.
How long ago was that?
Before the pandemic, unfortunately. So I haven't been back since, but I do plan to make a trip in the fall. So I can't wait to come back.
Okay, and you said your mom, she's from Jamaica. She's from St. Anne.
Yes, Discovery Bay. She grew up, well, she didn't grow up there. She left when she was really young, about 7 years old. But her and her siblings are from the St. Anne Parish, and they go back very often. So they're there all the time, and I have to make time to go visit again for sure.
So when you came to Jamaica the last time, was it also in St. Anne that you visited or was somewhere else?
I visited Kingston last time.
Oh, that's where I am.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kingston is nice, but I feel like you get the more touristy kind of Jamaica experience when you go like actually to St. Anne and where your mom is from.
Right,
That's where you get
exactly.
the white sandy beaches and all of those luxuries.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so yeah, so we're continuing now in terms of your journey and as a pilot, you mentioned that there was no fear, it was more just excitement. Along that path, especially because you're a female and also I'm not sure what the situation is like for you in Toronto, but as a woman of color, was that a challenge for you in any way or
Absolutely. I felt as though it was a barrier for me because there's few of us here. And the reason why I make the videos I do on TikTok and Instagram is because I want that representation out there. Because prior to me becoming a pilot, I didn't even know really that it was a possibility for me until I saw pilots that looked like me. And like I said, going through flight training, moving up north to fly in those remote areas, no one around looked like me. And they never even considered me as the pilot. Like someone would walk up to me and, hey, are the pilots here yet? Like, we got to get going. And I'm like, I'm the pilot. And they'd be like, like they would give me a look like, you're the one flying the plane. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes people would be hesitant, like, are you sure she can fly? You know what I mean? Like they kind of question my skills or my job title because of the way that I look. So absolutely, there's definitely a barrier for entry for this profession, and I want to dismantle that. I don't want that to be a thing anymore for any of us.
Impressive. And so I'm sure that takes a certain level of mental strength as well and courage to persevere despite what people may think.
Absolutely.
What do you do to kind of build up yourself mentally?
I think it's more of, I don't think people are malicious. I think people are inherently good, and it's more of an education thing. So when someone asks, oh, you're the flight attendant for this flight today, and I'm like, no, I'm the pilot. And I just, you just let them know. It's never, I never come from a place of, I can't believe you think I can't fly this plane. It's more of, no, some pilots look like me, and that's okay. And you're in good hands, and we're going to have a good flight. So get to your seat. Let's get going.
That's fantastic. And I like what you mentioned in terms of being able to show those kind of content on social media so other persons can see and be like, there is a space out there for me in this industry, whether I'm a woman, whether I'm a Black woman, it doesn't matter. Like there is a space there for me. And based on even how your sister in that video was excited, we can see that. And I mean, the various reactions and responses, I'm sure you're seeing that you're making an impact, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I that's why I share my journey so that other girls can see that they can do this too.
Okay. Separate from the barrier and breaking that glass ceiling, what other challenges or did you experience on your way to the top, literally?
The profession itself it's a little bit of a lonely job. It's not as glamorous as you would think it is. And on layovers, you're in the hotel by yourself, or you're in a different city by yourself, and kind of exploring on your own. So that in itself is a bit of a challenge. I am quite the people person. I like to be around my family, especially. I spend so much time, as you can see, with my sister, my brother, my mother, my extended family. So it's tough to be away. But I cope by FaceTiming, phone calls, that kind of thing.
Obviously, having that support system really helps you to stay grounded and keeps you pushing forward. In terms of the highs then, so I mentioned the lows in terms of the highs. What's the most rewarding experience that you can share that you've had so far in your journeys?
I get to explore places I don't think I would ever consider visiting outside of work. I get to meet amazing people of all walks of life. I get to share my story. They get to share their stories, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot traveling. You learn a lot working with different personalities, and I've just been soaking it all in.
Wow. Hi, what's the feeling like when you're in the air? Explain it to us, because I shared like from a passenger. From a passenger, it may vary, but what's the feeling like for you in the air, being in charge and taking charge of the controls? What is that feeling like? Tell us.
I'd have to say the initial takeoff, right when you do that rotation into the air, is my favorite part of the flight. It's just like I am taking this aircraft into the air. I'm commanding the aircraft. And that feeling is like, it's just, it's in my hands, if that makes any sense. I don't know, it's pretty exhilarating. It's a really different feeling.
Wow. I was like literally trying to imagine it. And I'm like, woo, like, okay, I know like you will pay like with paper planes or something like that, but to be in charge of an actual plane, that is fantastic. And is there like any hope or aspirations that you have for yourself in terms of, you mentioned you've gone different places already around the world, but like where do you see yourself in terms of the industry in maybe the next several years or so?
So right now I'm a first officer, which means I'm second in command in the aircraft. But one day I hope to be a captain of a large jet aircraft where I'm, #1 rank in command. And I can't wait to see that day for sure.
And I know you will definitely get there. So, do you at any time ever miss going back to media or think about like twinning the two?
I kind of use my social media as that kind of creative outlet. I never really thought of actually going back to that as a career. But you never know in the future, maybe.
Yeah, you could be like, I mean, you're right, because you're definitely having that platform with social media.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure, have you done like speaking engagements or anything like that?
Not so much so on that side of things, but I would definitely explore that as well.
Okay, well, I definitely feel like that's something that will happen, but it will evolve to that place, and
Yeah, I think
especially as
so.
your social media presence grows, that will also come with the territory as well.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm pretty much fascinated. Okay, so tell me about Kai generally, otherwise from your professional life, not to delve into your personal business per se, but you mentioned, for example, dealing with your father's illness and during that period of your life being lost. And I'm sure for many young ladies, there are moments, and men, there are moments in our lives where we are at a transition, and those are defining moments. For you, you moved on to a different profession and you found your way through, right? What can you say like to others to say that they can use to help them to guide them over a moment of transition, an obstacle?
Besides having that familial support, like my family, like I said, is everything. The word absolutely helped me through. I don't I don't know, I don't know where I would be without our father. And I think losing my father was such a huge impact on me, and being able to make it through. Yep, the support of family and your faith.
Yes, and your faith. And that's crucial. I love that point that you mentioned in terms of your faith, because I mean, not everybody will be open and share that part of them. And as somebody who also is a woman of faith, like I definitely believe that that is so critical and so important mentally, physically, and of course spiritually.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right, Kai. So some more details into the inner workings of your job per se.
Sure.
Um do you have like a favorite aircraft to fly, or you haven't reached
Uh,
that stage yet?
Not particularly, just the ones with the comfortable seats. So some of our aircraft, they're a little bit older than others, and the seats aren't as adjustable as you would like. So some of them, the backrest can go back and forward, the armrest can go up and down, and they're really nice and comfy. But some of them are very stiff, so those are not my favorite.
And what's your most memorable experience? I know we spoke about the rewarding experience. I'm not sure if that would be the same thing for you, but your most memorable experience you've had while flying.
Taking my sister is bar none the absolute best day I've had at work so far, like without a doubt. We had the best time. The crew loved her. They were so sweet to her. They took such great care of her. She couldn't stop raving about how much fun she had, and that really, really touched me. We had so much fun.
I can imagine. And I know earlier we discussed in terms of the fact that there can be moments of loneliness for you, especially in the
Hmm.
downtime. So how do you
Hmm.
manage long flights, especially? How do you manage that, both physically and mentally?
I do take books with me. So if we do have long stretches in cruise where I'm able to take a book out and read, I'll definitely do that. The crews that I work with are great. So, I just chat with the captains, and we can talk about anything under the sun. And that passes the time. I eat my lunch up there as well. So, there's a lot we can do up there that you wouldn't think.
And what's the best destination that you've flown to so far?
Ooh, the best place so far. I'd say New York, because there's always so much to do there. There's so much food around, and even if we get in really late, you can get something to eat, you can find something to do, you can have a good time with the crew on your layover, and yeah, we always have a good time there.
Woo! I literally just said my favorite place in the
Oh,
world. Like,
wow, yeah.
I love New York. So you
So
chose
much
Brighton,
fun.
so love it there. But speaking of New York, because remember I was telling you that sometimes when I fly, I can get a little scary in extreme weather.
Hmm.
When it's clear and nice, beautiful, because then it's like a smooth flight. So for you as the pilot, how do you manage the adverse weather condition?
The best thing we can do is request different altitudes to try and stay out of this, like the super turbulent conditions. If it's impossible to avoid it, we just slow down so that the bumps aren't too like erratic and too much. That's really the best that we can do.
And I don't really want to get you scared, but I'm sure it comes with the territory. Have you ever had any, like, how do you keep your mind centered to the point that you think, okay, the plane won't go down? Like, because
We Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, because I'm just thinking that must be something that I'm sure would cross your mind as a pilot, right?
We do a lot of extensive emergency training. So for any sort of situation or mishap that could possibly come up, we are trained extensively in the simulator. And so prior to any flight, we discuss a potential situation and we discuss how we would work through it so that your mind is ready for something if it occurs, which is very rare, but it's something that's always in the back of our mind. The safety of our passengers and our crew is of the utmost. So it's always at the forefront for sure.
Definitely. And what's something about flying that most people wouldn't know unless like you're a pilot?
Um, we almost speak a different language when we're flying. It's if you I don't know if you listen to ATC recordings at all, but as a civilian, if I listened in, I would have no idea what we're talking about. So, although the words are English, like you wouldn't really understand what we're saying, what we're trying to convey.
I've heard a few of those recordings, yeah, and I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
What do you do in your downtime, Kai? I mean, you have a pretty hectic schedule, so what do you do?
I spend a ton of time with my family. That's like my number one favorite thing to do. I like to work out, exercise, a lot of walking. I like to get outside in nature. Right now, I'm planning my wedding as well, so that takes up quite quite a lot of my time.
Congratulations!
Thank you so much. So right now, yeah, that's what it is.
Beautiful. And as we wrap up this lovely interview with Kai, what advice would you give to persons who are aspiring to be in the industry and aspiring to be a pilot? What would you want to share with them?
I think the first thing is to reach out to someone who you can ask for advice. That's what I did. And I got a wealth of knowledge and I was able to take the first steps into the industry that way.
Wow, reach out. And is there any other life advice that you want to share? It doesn't have to be career-wise, but just to our viewers, our listeners, persons who aspire to be a trailblazer in their industry or just in their life that you would want to give.
I would say don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to go after something that you think would be rewarding for you. Um, I took the opportunity when I could and I ran with it and I have never looked back and I'm very glad that I did. Because if I gave it a second thought, I probably wouldn't be a pilot right now. So absolutely don't hesitate. Just go after your dreams.
I love that. Don't hesitate. Just go after your dreams. Kai Williams, truly an inspiration, definitely a trailblazer, and we'll watch her keep rising to the top. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And by the way, I will put your TikTok handle, any other social media handle, or is just TikTok that persons can follow you.
Just TikTok.
Follow her on TikTok at Pilot Kai, right?
It's at Kai Maureen, KYMAURENE.
Okay, at Kai Marine. All right. Bless up. Thank you so much. And we'll definitely keep the link because who knows, maybe one day I'm flying with Kai in the sky.
That would be great. I'd love to have you.
Just around. It's kind of corny, though. It's corny. It's like a corny joke, but flying
Fly
with
with
Kai
Kai.
in the sky.
Yeah.
some of our most prominent producer them in the industry tell Tony that he could not bust a female artist because
Failing is one thing. Failing publicly is a very hard thing. My father always said he was growing a prime minister.
And I said I was holding my mouth, the lies were going, and I sat and I saw women on the TV just lying bluntly, just like that.
Release the all media survey, and when you look at the name Ron Michelle, 0,
What?
0, 0. And then they send back to say that they apologize. The lady up there never put in the number.
Seriously?
In
Back
terms
then,
of help for like housekeeping.
yeah, my mom was a helper back then and stuff. To be honest, I was just excited, to play for West Indies.
I did it. I made my move into entrepreneurship at 40.
What, last comments would you want to share with
You have your core values, you do the right things, it'll fall in place.